this video, I will do cluster analysis of Indian credit card issuers. I am going to use RBI data and I'll use last 6 months of data. So March to August data I'll use, which is last 6 months of data, and I will do cluster analysis. What is the purpose of cluster analysis? To find out which are the portfolio which are very homogeneous to each other but very heterogeneous to any element of other group. If you do not understand what is cluster analysis, I'll recommend you to read this video, Introduction to Cluster Analysis. This will clarify a lot of doubts if you are not very clear. But right now, let's remain focused on the cluster analysis of Indian credit card issuers. So what has been done here? First of all, there are total 34 players which has credit card spend positive in last 6 months. So these are the 34 players that you have. One is the bank name, that's why you see 35. These are the 34 players that you have which has credit card spend month over month for last 6 months. And here 6 months of data like spend per card 2000 April 24, spend per card May 24, and all those things has been taken. Similarly, spend per transactions and transactions per card has been taken. Total there are 19 columns. Out of that, first one is the name of the bank, and then there are 18 columns. So let me explain you why we have taken something like that. First of all, we have taken 34 players which are recent, which are available, which are playing in the market, which has month over month spend for last 6 months, and we have taken most recent data. Secondly, why we have taken spend per card, spend per transaction, transaction per card? Because that gives a level playing field. It does not get affected by how many cards one has, and that's why their size is too much and they are not comparable or anything like that. The moment you are talking of a rate kind of metrics like spend per card or spend per transactions, which is like ticket size, how much purchase is happening, average purchase is happening per transaction, or transaction per card, how many times people are swiping the card, these are comparable irrespective of size. So that's where these metrics have been taken, and there are total 18 metrics have been taken. I have shown you the data. I am going to use extreme ML for the analysis for very simple reason that it makes a lot of things very, very simple. So here, and I'll do most of the things I'll leave as it is default so that the system should take care of that. So I'm going to just read this data. So this is the data that we have. Let me show you that what it has read. So it's showing you that there are 34 rows and 19 columns. One is obviously bank name and there are 18s. Now let me just go ahead and try to do cluster analysis. I will leave everything default and I'll just say to proceed. So the first thing that it is doing, it figured out that out of these many variables, it actually doesn't need to keep all. It is saying that these 3 variables are more than enough to explain you everything. So it's saying that actually it is making cluster of variables. So it's saying there are all these spend per card is one cluster, all transaction per card is one cluster, and all those things. And then it is saying that take May data. Now this may look very simple, but think of this way, and you can say that it was March, April, May, June, July, August, so essentially it has taken mid-month. But think of, the system has understood spend per card all are similar, transaction per card all are similar, and that's how it has made the cluster of variables. So it's a great thing, especially think of when you don't know the name of the variable or meaning. Let's say it was var1, var2, var3. In that case also it would have figured out, okay, these are the variables which are linked and that should be taken. So it is saying that these are the 3 variables, that is more than enough, we don't need to take all the variables, and then it is figuring out those clusters that should be taken. So it has given all the clusters, the cluster centers and everything. I have taken all this data in Excel so that I could explain you. So essentially it has given 5 clusters. So first cluster, it's saying that it has 4 players. These are characterized by high spend per transactions, approximately 3 transactions per card, and quite huge spend per card. The second one has probably lowest transaction per card, but moderately good spend per transaction. The third one has too many transactions, but small spend per transaction, and there is just one player here. So these are like 11 player, again 11 player, 7 player here. This is the almost the middle group where everything spend per card, transaction per card, and spend per transaction, everything is almost towards the middle. And this is another group which has reasonably good transaction per card, quite good. If you think of it, is just slightly up, but this is quite good. So spend per transaction is quite good, and spend per card is almost the second, and there are 7 players here. So let's see which are the players that has come into this. So I'm just going to show you. So this is what I explained you just now. So in the first group, cluster 0, or you can say cluster 0 actually means cluster 1, has 4 players. These are the players. You can see that they're barring this which has less transactions per card, all these are like having approximately 3 transactions per card and quite sizable spend per card. In some sense, these are like mostly like corporate portfolio, because if you think of per transaction spend is actually quite huge. So this looks like these are the portfolio which has lot of corporate kind of customers. Next comes cluster 1. Cluster 1 which has the almost lowest transactions per card, that's the most important feature here, but moderate ticket size. In this portfolio, you have these 11 players: RBL, Bank of Maharashtra, Utkarsh Bank, Bank of Baroda, all these are coming in this particular category. You can take a look, all of them have very similar transactions per card, and mathematically you can say this is like quite less, and but mathematically these comes the closest, and they spend per card. Here it is probably one of the highest, RBL has one of the highest, and even the ticket size, maybe this one also has probably a sizable fraction of corporate portfolio. Now let's go to the cluster 3, which is coming as cluster 2 here because it's starting with 0. This says that these are too many transactions per card, and ticket size is less, but spend per card is reasonably okay. This actually CSB Bank. Cluster 3, like where the number of transactions are moderate, spend per transactions and spend per card, everything is almost moderate. This one has 2 major players like Axis and SBI. These are the 2 major players in the credit card scenario which are coming in this category. And there are many others like Bank of India. Look at Bank of Baroda has gone to here, but Bank of India is coming more like this portfolio. And you have IDFC, Kotak Mahindra, Standard Chartered, Union, Yes Bank, and all those things. Cluster 4 again quite interesting, which has almost everything moderate, or I should say second from the best kind of. This portfolio has HDFC, ICICI, AU Small, City Union. These are the 7 players. So if you think of, the program has been able to figure out mathematically that which are the clusters that one should consider, and obviously I have downloaded the data and that's how I will to show everything. But the program had figured out which are the mathematically closest portfolio and given the clusters. What do you think about this? Please feel free to make a comment. Also, if you know different data source, like which are the insurance companies on, let's say, on home loan or on general insurance or life insurance and all those things, or any other portfolio, if you can direct me to those data sources, we can again run this tool to figure out which are the life insurance companies which are very similar, which are the general insurance company which are very similar, or you can do this kind of thing to find very similar group across different industry. Thank you for listening.